How to read sheet music for beginners. Step 1. The grand staff. This is what we call the grand staff. You can see that there are lines and spaces on the top part as well as the bottom part. Notice the two different signs within the lines and spaces? These are called clefs, and the top one is called the treble clef, and the bottom one is called the bass clef. Step 2. The treble clef and notes in the treble clef. The treble clef contains 5 lines and 4 spaces in it, and each of these lines and spaces has a specific note that is located there. The notes on the 4 spaces are F, A, C, and E. The notes on the 5 lines are E, G, B, D, and F. Say the note names on the spaces going from the bottom to the top several times. Then do the same thing with the notes on the lines, again going from the bottom to the top. Now let's look at the notes in the bass clef. Step 3. The bass clef and notes in the bass clef. The bass clef also contains 5 lines and 4 spaces in it, and each of these lines and spaces has a specific note that is located there. The notes on the 4 spaces are A, C, E, and G. The notes on the 5 lines are G, B, D, F, and A. Say the note names on the spaces going from the bottom to the top several times. Then do the same thing with the notes on the lines, again going from the bottom to the top. Now let's see what they look like together on the grand staff. Step 4. The grand view of all notes on the lines and spaces in treble and bass clef. Step 5. Ledger lines. Ledger lines are lines for notes that occur outside of the normal range for the grand staff. They are in both the treble and bass clefs, and you won't see them on your sheet music unless the piece requires you to play notes that are above or below the grand staff. One of the most common notes that we all learn in the beginning, that is actually on a ledger line, is middle C. Take a look at where middle C is on the ledger lines in the next step. Step 6. The first ledger line note, middle C. Middle C is found exactly where it says it is in the middle of the treble and bass clef. Above middle C, heading up towards the treble clef, the next note above it is D, and then you land on your first line note in treble clef, which is E. Remember your treble clef notes. Below middle C, heading down towards the bass clef, the next note is B, and then you land on your top line note for the bass clef, which is A. You will encounter a lot more notes on ledger lines as you advance in your musical studies. All you have to remember to figure out what note you're looking at is find an anchor note or the nearest note that you know what the name of it is, and then count up or down to figure out the ledger line note.